Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. How are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Of course, as per usual, I am wearing the same outfit as I wore in like my two previous-ish videos, so hopefully you don't mind. I also do have my amazingly delicious coffee here, literally just regular coffee with the Chobani vanilla creamer. You need that in your life. I'm telling you, a little bit goes a long way. Beyond. So for today's video, I wanted to share with you guys my most used eyeshadow palettes for 2020. I was recently looking through my drawers and I was like, firstly, I was like very curious to know like what did you use like the most this year, you know? And then also I felt like it would be such a good video to make so you guys are informed and you guys know what palettes really like, you know, stole my heart, stole the show. So I have 8 palettes here to share with you guys. Most, I would say, yeah, all of these palettes are actually palettes that came out in 2020 except for maybe one palette. So just to keep you guys informed and to let you know, there were many other palettes that I used that did not necessarily come out this year, like the Naked palettes. I really enjoyed like the Nabla palette, what's it called, and a bunch of other ones, but I realized the ones that made the cut for me that were like ultimately bombs away were mainly palettes that came out in 2020. So just to keep you guys informed and just to let you guys know, I 100% need to know, it's not like I need to know what palettes were standouts for you for 2020. What did you feel like you reached for the most? And also let me know what you feel like you didn't really reach for the most. Let me know if you guys want me to do the opposite of this video, letting you guys know which palettes I really didn't like touch and I didn't really care for. So let's go ahead and get started. I will go ahead and have all these palettes linked down below. If I have any first impressions on any of these, I'll have those videos linked down below as well. But yes, I'm not gonna go in any particular order. I love all of these. I know I could have done this maybe in a ranking video, but it would be too hard for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I guess I could have, but I didn't want to. I just didn't want to because I love them all, I would say, somewhat equally, besides for one palette because I am biased towards it. But yeah, okay, so let's talk about that baby first. The first palette that I have up is this one right here from Ofra Cosmetics. This was in collaboration with your one and only me, Liora. A bunch of you guys know this already. I think I spoke about it thousands of times already. You're like, okay, we get it. But if you don't know, then I did collaborate with Ofra Cosmetics this past year. It was around the end of August/September time, and I love this. I've created tons of looks with this. I think it's very versatile. You can actually even use this as a blush, which I did a lot. You can use this as a bronzer if you have a lighter skin tone, and this right here could be used as a highlighter because it actually is in Blissful, yeah. So it could be used for the face and or eyes. I love this yellow because it's super bright and you can keep it that way, but if you mix it in with this shade or even the brown, it kind of creates more of like a mustardy type of color, so it's like a 2-in-1 situation. The green in here was just that little pop of something extra that I wanted to put if you wanted to deepen things up a bit. And yeah, these two shades I feel like were just great transition shades. I did put a lot of thought into this because I wanted it to be just accessible and universally flattering. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I also had like a pumpkin theme in mind because again, this did come out around September time. So my whole vision was like an actual pumpkin. So like, you know, orange and browns and yellows, and then this for like, you know. A lot of you guys showed a tremendous amount of love with this one, and I really truly and honestly really appreciate it. It means so much to see your looks and your just like reviews and everything on this. So yeah, this right here has been my favorite for the year. I absolutely love it. I actually think it still might be available on Ofra. I don't know if it is or isn't. I feel like it keeps going in and out of stock, but with Ofra Cosmetics you could use my code which is Liora. That'll get you 20% off this palette or in general on anything on their site, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, this right here is my #1 babe. So I guess if I'm ranking, this is #1 for me, but everything else is just like even, I guess. Next up, I have this palette right here from Ofra Cosmetics as well. So another one of their signature palettes. I just reached for this more than I expected, let me tell you. They have a ton of these signature palettes and I like the other ones, but this right here and mine, I would say is my favorite from all of the ones they have to date. I just love the nice berry, like cherry tones that are included in here. We get one like super nice metallic that could be used for the face and cheeks, and then we get another metallic shade, and then everything else is pretty much a matte. Great shades to build up the transition, great shades to put on the lid, easy to work with, stunning undertones, and I feel like this would look good. I promise you, I feel like these shades just look good on everyone. so pretty, and every time I use this palette I just was more and more in love with the looks that I created. So definitely one that hit home for me for 2020. The next palette that I used way too much this year was the Too Faced Pumpkin palette. There was so much controversy around this palette saying that, you know, this is very similar to the other palettes that they have, and I did a comparison with all the other palettes that they released every year that looks maybe somewhat similar to this, but I still felt like this right here is somewhat pretty different. And I did mention in that video that I feel like the gingerbread spice in this palette, like they're different in their own ways, and I feel like they complement each other amazingly, and they're in a way like sisters. You know, that's the best way I'd be able to describe it. Also, I feel like maybe the quality of this one is slightly better than those, even though those are actually really, really good. This one right here is just a step above. The only shade that I had a little bit of a hard time with generally was this purple shade, but in general, I feel like purple shades are hard to do. Overall, the aesthetic, the vibe of this palette, it was just amazing. You get your nice mustardy, like orangey tones in here, but then pops of purples and greens and like this like khaki, like peak kind of color, but like it looks really pretty on the eyes. You know, I feel like anytime I wore this I got tons of compliments. Really easy to work with to the most part. Great transition shades, great matte shades. It smells amazingly delicious, like not overly powering, and you know, I thought I would like this, but I didn't think I would like it as much as I do, and the fact that I used it so much just really speaks for itself. So definitely one that I really enjoyed a ton for 2020, even though it actually came out around September time, so it wasn't like the full year, but I would say I used this probably more than so many other palettes that I had even at the beginning of the year kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So yes, love this baby. If you were contemplating, I'm obsessed. Next up, I have the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered palette. So I would say before this one, I had one or two other Huda Beauty palettes that I liked, but I wasn't fully obsessed. The second I used this one, I was like rethinking my decisions of my life like right away. I'm like, first of all, why did I get rid of the other one? The only other one that I got rid of was the, I think, Nude's palette. I was very upset at myself, so I repurchased that. Honestly, that was the first time I ever did that. But yeah, this right here spoke to me on major levels. The first few times I used this, I was like, there's just no way. The mattes are beautiful in here, but I would say the standouts are definitely the metallics. They look wet, they look foiled, they look metallic. They're so easy to glide on, very easy to blend out. The color story is gorgeous, and also with these tones, I feel like it just suits everyone. We get golds, we get rose golds, a few burgundy tone shades. I feel like every shade in here just works amazingly, and there really isn't one shade in here that I'm like, oh, you know, it would have been better if she didn't include that. And every single time I use this palette, I find myself even more and more inspired to create even more looks that I didn't think would be possible. You know what I mean? Like, this definitely helps me step out of my comfort zone, and I'm just fully obsessed. I recently purchased the Nori Nude palette, and the new Nudes palette was a repurchase for me because I decluttered it. I shared that in a Sephora haul video why I did that, but that was the only time I did that. But I haven't had a chance to use those to their tea, but this one right here was one that once I received it, I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you will be my bestie, and that is what you are to me. I'm obsessed. I love you. This is so good. If you've been contemplating, I'm telling you, well. Next up, I have a few Natasha Denona palettes. This is no surprise to you guys, I'm sure. I love her formula. She's pretty cool too. I met her at the Sephora event. I always say that whenever I speak about her stuff because she's so cool. And she's really tall actually. In that pic that I showed last time, you guys are like, either she's really tall or you're like really short. Yes, I am really short. But yes, I am so inspired by her pieces. Anytime she creates like a palette, I just like literally gush over it because her formula is just outstanding. Her color stories are beautiful, and her products are so simple to work with, and you feel the high quality with that. So first babe that I have up is this one right here. I did a first impression on this one, and this gives me like just bronze J.Lo vibes kind of thing, you know? This right here includes a nice amount of matte and metallic, some like almost like glittery topper shades, and I think that this is stunning on the eyes. Even though most of these shades are bronzy toned, I still feel like I could create a bunch of different looks with this one, and the looks don't necessarily look the same. You know, I also really appreciate that she included these two because it does add a vibe. Maybe without these two, it'd be like some similarities, but even if I just use all of these, there are a bunch of different looks you can create with this one that I think look beautifully beautiful on the eyes. I've gotten just crazy amounts of compliments when I have this on, and I mean, the way this blends, the way this looks, just the beauty of it is seriously, I have no words. And then the other palette that I have here from Natasha Denona is the Glam Palette. This right here came out, I want to say around October-ish time. I did want to do a first impression on this one, but at that time I actually went away for a few days, and Yeah, UPS was not delivering on time, let me tell you. The second I received this, first of all, it was like that kind of moment where you opened it and you're like, who are you and what's your name? Yeah. I would say that this palette right here is a cool toned lover's dream. I would say that it has everything you would need to create like a cool toned look. I know that cool tones are coming back now, and I think she did amazingly with this one. From the transition shades to the metallic shades to this really cool, I would say slightly warmer gold thrown in there. Perfect. I don't think there would be anything that I would change about this palette. Anytime I wear this palette, you guys really complimented me to no end, and I really appreciate that. It's this doing right over here. The fact that these are also just, again, so easy to work with, and the fact that they're cooler tone shades is a win-win, because sometimes with cooler tone shades it's hard to blend out. But with this one, such a breeze. Everything about this one is definitely an A+. At times I actually also mixed the bronze palette with the Glam Palette, and even though they're pretty much two different worlds, because we have warm tones pretty much here and cool tones here, I feel like they still complemented each other beautifully, especially because the formula is consistent across the board. I found that, I mean, that plays a huge role, you know, so I really like this. Another Natasha Denona palette that I used a ton this year was this little guy right over here. This is the mini retro palette. This is actually one that came in, I would say, around the summertime. You guys know I love these little ones by Natasha Denona. I did a full ranking baby Natasha Denona video. I have that video linked down below. But yeah, this one right here includes 2 metallics, 1 satin, and 2 mattes. And I feel like it's pretty versatile because it kind of, depending on what shades you use where, it kind of comes across as like an olivey green kind of palette or more of like a grayish cool tone palette. So very versatile. I think it's beautiful to wear on its own, very, very pretty to mix around with other palettes that Natasha Denona has, either with these bigger ones or like the other small ones she has. I've worn this a ton when it came out. It was like my go-to for a long, long time. And I think I ranked this #1 in my baby ranking video for Natasha Denona. So that really says a lot, honestly. I also did wear this for my sister's like mini engagement. She got married this year. And everyone loved the look. Very easy to work with. I love the tones in here, and just so pretty on the eyes, and it's a true representation of what her bigger palettes are in regards to formula. So definitely a win for me for this year. I pulled this out more than I could think of. The final palette that I have up is the Lawless The Baby One eyeshadow palette. Now this right here is more of a newer purchase to me. I think I had it in my possession for maybe a month and a half to 2 months ish tops. But I can't tell you guys how much I used this, how much like I showed love towards this palette. I did speak about it in the I'll Keep You Posted video that I did a little while back, maybe like a week and a half ago. And I mentioned to you guys just there how much I really just love it. I like the fact that we get 6 mattes, we get 2 metallics. You can use 4 of these for one look, 4 of these for another look. You can mix and match. Some of the shades pull a little more cool tone, some of the shades pull a little bit more warmer in tone. But I do feel super confident when I have this on my eyes. It's just also a very easy go-to small compact mini palette that I feel like provides a lot for the 8 shades that it has. Like, it can do a ton, let me tell you. And the formula is also very nice, very smooth, easy to work with, and yeah, I just really think it's a very good solid one, especially considering the fact that it's only $25. I feel like you cannot beat that. Solid.